Trump shutting off the money faucet for fraudsters. Somali pirates in Minnesota looted us for $1 billion with a B. Ilhan Omar also got donations from the scammers. So the Somalis stole money from taxpayers and donated it to Democrats.
Everybody's done fraud. You guys are a small population of people. I think there's 60-some thousand Somalians that live in Minnesota. Half of all the government funding that came to you is fraud. Like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you subscribe to The Officer Tatum Show and The Officer Tatum channel, and message me if you want to ask me a question at Brandon@freedomchat.com. That's Brandon@freedomchat.com. Let's get into this. I want to talk about Tim Walz because I think this is an important setup to Sonny hosting. But Tim Walz, he's in hot water. That boy britches is burning right now because they let this fraud go on for too doggone long in Minnesota. And he knew it was happening. Stevie Wonder can see they doing fraud. I'm telling you. And so let's get to the first clip. It's clip 500. Jesse Waters again on the show. I like Jesse Waters. He's always got great, incredible things to say. Let's play what Jesse Waters had to say because I don't know what this means for Walz. I don't know what this means for him. I don't know if Tim is going to be investigated. I don't know if he's going to go to jail. I don't know if he's just going to be ousted. But I think there needs to be some serious consequences because under your leadership, there's so much fraud that occurred in your city with these people that you allow in, and you have said nothing and turned a blind eye. But let's get to the clip 500, and we'll go from there.
Trump shutting off the money faucet for fraudsters. Somali pirates in Minnesota looted us for $1 billion with a B. And that doesn't count all the welfare we handed out after importing them here. And now it's time for a refund.
You told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's both, sir. We're going to remove them and we're going to get our money back.
Now, let me say this, Jesse. Hold on, Jesse, real quick. Hold on, Jesse. Can I say this? And I'm not trying to turn into Marjorie Taylor Greene or nothing. You know that sorry son of a gun. She just completely turned on Trump for her own financial gain. Why? She's going to have a show on The View. She's going to sell a book. She's going to do something. She's going to make some money. But I wish that we would refrain from the name calling on the round table discussion. Can I say that, like, when it diminishes your argument when you're trying to be a serious politician to talk about a serious issue, to call names to a sitting governor. Now, I'm a person that's online doing commentary for a living. I'm not in the federal government having to have decorum and dress up in a suit and tie and make formal decisions. So I would argue that people do not, I don't like when they do that. Just keep it clean. You could do it on social media. Let us talk trash. Keep it clean, all right? But let's go. Let's continue. Roll it.
Money and fraud are coming to an end.
We need leaders who will invest in our neighbors, not attack them. The Somali community in Minnesota is the backbone of the state.
Really? We've invested plenty. Billions were stolen. We don't owe the Somalis anything. Now, Tim Walz is under investigation by the Treasury Department and Congress.
They need to focus on the war crimes that are coming up. They need to focus on making life more affordable. They need to focus on the issues they're dealing with. But this is a president in spiral doing nothing to make life cheaper for Minnesotans or Americans.
So Walz lets pirates plunder his booty and he thinks Trump's spiraling?
I think the man's a grossly incompetent man. I thought that from the day I watched JD destroy him in the debate. I was saying, who was more incompetent, that man or my man? I had a man and he had a man. There's something wrong with him, okay? There's something wrong with him.
Democrats in Minnesota are panicking. The money's drying up and their biggest voting blocs going adios. The pirates donated thousands to the mayor of Minneapolis. And now he's telling ICE to leave the Somalis alone. He also said this.
To our Somali.
Hold on. I hope y'all sitting down. This fool, like, I don't understand for the life of me how grown men can look in the mirror at night and say, I'm still a man, when you doing stuff like this. But, you know, this is why I love Fox News, because I feel like Fox News is the only, I would say, outlet in the mainstream that's actually being fair. But I want to go to see what everybody else is talking about on the news, and we can do that by going to ground.news. So the reason why I always tell you guys about ground.news is because you can get a balanced perspective on this stuff. So we're talking about Tim Walz, everything Tim Walz, and I think that you need to be aware of what people are talking about when it comes to Tim Walz, because this guy is going to be in trouble. I think we're going to find out more interesting things by the minute when it comes to what he knew, what he didn't know, and what he allowed in his state to defraud the people. He's going to be up for re-election at some point, and we will see if people re-elect him again. But you could just go here to ground.news. You could check it all out. You could just see if this is a right-leaning, more center-leaning. If you go to some of these articles, you'll see that mostly people on the right are talking about this. There's rarely articles where you see people on the left really engaging in this, right? They don't want you to really know what the fraudulent stuff is, how it's going on. I think I see one article here from the left that's actually talking about this issue. And this is, like, again, why I love ground.news, because you can see exactly what's going on here. You can see all the articles on the topic of fraud, and you can click on the left, you can click on the right, and you can go down and see what people are saying and what they are not saying when it comes to this matter. You guys can also have access to all of this stuff. I think we got you 40% off because they're a sponsor of mine. I think maybe 50% off over the Cyber Weekend. All you got to do is go to ground.news/Tatum, ground.news/Tatum. And before I jump onto something else, I want to go to the blind spot real quick, because this is something that you don't want to miss as well. You want to make sure you don't get blind spotted by some of these topics, because when it comes to the Trump's Trump account, if there is some there, Republicans are not going to talk about it, unfortunately. People on the right are not going to talk about it. So if you are going to get the information, you may have to look at some sources on the other side, and this is where you don't get caught up and left behind, right? So go to ground.news/Tatum and get your account today. This is the most cowardice, capitulating move that I've ever seen in my life. You know you're on the wrong side of the street when you have to respond to the Somalian community like this. Roll the clip.
Community. Daman Shabka, Somaliad Kunul, Minnesota Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan Ku Janila Hai, Waan Ku Gereb Taganahan.
Hold on, Jesse. Hold on, Jesse. Wait. Why did you just get a Somalian to say that? Because you sound stupid to start with. And then secondly, how are you addressing your constituents in a different language? So when you talk to the people that you represent, are you doing it in every language that they speak in? You're not. You're capitulating to the Somalian people. You're capitulating to the Somalian people. What language did the Somalians speak? Somalia? What do they speak? Stewheadish? Fraud. That's what they speak. The official language is fraud. Y'all defrauded the whole city, and now you beat yourself on the chest like you've done something. Roll the clip.
Somali, but he probably didn't say, give us the money back. Ilhan Omar also got donations from the scammers. So the Somalis stole money from taxpayers and donated it to Democrats. Huh. And the Democrats never looked into this. Huh. And she's not the only one. Minnesota's AG, Keith Ellison, was supposed to be stopping the fraud, but he was caught on tape talking to the crooks 1 month before the FBI raided their headquarters. They said government agencies were racist, and the Attorney General said he'd make a call.
Just getting the question, just getting the inquiry from the AG is sometimes enough to make people knock it off.
And then they started talking cash.
And we are willing to put our money where our mouths are in that sense, helping elected officials that are interested in protecting communities of color specifically.
So Ellison said this meeting isn't about money. But a few weeks later, donations were dropped into his account. And now he's playing the race card.
He wants us pointing fingers at each other while he and his cronies run a scam on America. Weaponizing negative stereotypes and racism against our neighbors is morally wrong.
White people get blamed for stuff their ancestors did hundreds of years ago. but you're not allowed to punish Somalis for ripping us off today? If we're so bad, why is everybody trying to come here? Maybe it's because their country's not so great. Ask the Somalis.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
Dang. Trump said it. I didn't say it. We got to pray for Trump. He out there cussing and doing all kinds of stuff. But I do see his sentiment. Obviously not all Somalians, but the Somalians who are in lockstep with the others who are doing this crazy stuff is what I'm concerned about. Let's go to Tom Emmer. I think that's how you say his name. I got a public school education. But he literally loses his mind on Walls. Just explaining how he knew about this and was incompetent and did not support the people that he claimed he served. Wrote a clip.
Bill is not racist, and it's not unfair. Look, this guy is pathetic. He is incompetent. He's a pathological, sociopathic liar. He lies about everything. Got caught on national TV, Bill, lying about something as dumb as when he was at Tiananmen Square. And his response to that back then was, you know, I grew up in a small town. Sometimes I'm a bit of a knucklehead. Look, my hat is off to President Donald J. Trump. We have been trying to sound the alarm on this fraud that has been going on since the beginning of the Walz administration for more than 3 years. And it wasn't until Donald Trump sent his truth out a couple weeks ago that everybody started paying attention. You have correctly pointed out, it's already more than $1 billion that these fraudsters stole from Minnesota taxpayers under Tim Walz's watch, and the number is growing. It's not just the $250 million fraud case, the largest pandemic fraud case in the country that's feeding our future. It's Medicaid housing fraud. You go back, it's autism centers, the list goes on and on, daycare fraud. But let's just look at the housing one. The Medicaid housing program was created back in 2020. They estimated it was going to cost annually about $2 million. You know what? From 2020 to 2024, it was $100 million. And they shut the program down in October of 2025 because from the beginning of the year, they'd already sucked out $61 million. And this idea that it's not going to al-Shabaab, they're sending the money back to Somalia. Bill, people should understand al-Shabaab controls the financial infrastructure in Somalia. It is going back to Somalia where al-Shabaab, the terrorist organization, is in charge.
Okay, so at the moment, I just want to.
So, I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's pretty clear. These people are fraudsters, man. They came into our country, they stole $1 billion. You know, people get open arms and they crying and spitting on each other because we give Israel $3.8 billion. Just the Somalian community stole $1 billion. The Somalian community stole 1/3 of what we give Israel for military support. Well, like, this is a big deal. A small community is almost as much as a country. Now, this is what they're saying, though, when we call them out. This is what they're saying. This is how they feel about you. I want y'all to take this into consideration. I'm not saying when you see a Somali person, you treat them poorly. But the ones who abide by this, we don't want you here in this country. Roll the clip.
You know, like, the racists are actually just jealous of Somalis because of how successful we became in a matter of one generation. And I was watching a lot of videos that are coming up on my For You page where people are saying, how come Somalis have nice cars and we don't? We've been here like how many generations? We were born here, our ancestors are from here, but Somalis drive nice cars. This whole thing is just making me realize is jealousy. They're jealous of our success because they expect us like to be at the bottom of the bottom, right? And then we come here one generation, we work hard, we save our money,
And do fraud.
Somalis are not the only community that committed fraud, okay? We're not all committing fraud, okay? Every community has bad apples, but they're trying to use that as leverage to hate on us, right? And attack our community. But what it is like when you're an immigrant group and you're Black on top of that and you're African, they hate you to be successful. They hate you to be successful. Now, if we were
Shut this girl up before I lose my mind on her. Do you know how nonsensical that is that she said that? Think about this for a minute. We brought y'all over here, gave you a better life, and now you're trying to say we hate that you're successful. We have set you up for success. We have shared the American dream with you. But y'all doing fraud. That's why people are mad. If people were able, think about this. We were able to accomplish this in a generation. Yeah, because other people who have been here for generations, they lost people in the Great Depression, financial struggles in the Great Depression, and wars that we fought in this country to keep us free. People have to make sacrifice for generations to get to where they're at now. Their sacrifice have set up a nest egg for you idiots to come over here, and now y'all taking advantage of what they've done for generations. And then on top of that, you're stealing the money that they built for generations to do fraud. Everybody's done fraud. You guys are a small population of people. I think there's 60-some thousand Somalians that live in Minnesota. And the 60,000 percentage of people, or, the percentage of the 60,000 people, half of all the government funding that came to you is fraud. The per capita fraud that y'all doing is insane. Okay. And y'all already know that the cackling hens had something to say about it. These dumb hamburger heifers. I should make a shirt call them hamburger heifers. Especially Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Gold turd. She do look like a little turd. If a turd could be a animal on a animated character on the thing, that'll look like Whoopi Goldberg. A turd that can talk. Nah, all jokes aside, she silly as a mud. Wait till you hear her say something. Roll the clip.
Will trying to demonize immigrants still work for him or his base? Are they more concerned about other issues right now? Is this going to continue? Well, or is this smoke and mirrors too?
It seems like every time his numbers drop, or he perceives that his popularity is dropping, no matter how much tush kissing the cabinet does on him, it's really disgusting to watch them kiss his butt. But anyway, every time that happens, he pulls out a race card. Last time it was the Haitians who were eating the pets, and now it's the Somalis in Minnesota, who, by the way, there's only 84,000 Somalis in Minnesota, and 58% of them were born in the United States.
Yeah, and 87% of them are naturalized citizens.
Yeah. But one of my spies told me that he lost support with the Somali Minnesota voters over the Biden administration's handling of Gaza. So again, it's personal. Everything's personal with him.
No, it's fraud. It's called fraud. Fraud. Donald Trump hadn't said much about them until we discovered that they were committing over $1 billion of fraud. And they go, 50% of them were born in America. Yeah, because a generation of them came here illegally and then they had kids. That's the generation you're talking about. And the other 50% are illegal. So they parents and they had kids. Half of the community is the illegals that had kids. When I say illegals, people that weren't citizens here. Now, the thing is, this is how you know when people are shady. Where are the Somalians that are coming out and speaking against what happened? Now, you say, it ain't all the Somalians. Not all of us are doing it. We ain't all doing fraud. Well, how many of the leadership people in leadership positions are representatives, the front-facing Somalians who should be Americanized at this point? When I say Americanized, meaning that you have assimilated to this country. How many of them are out here right now saying the fraud that was committed is wrong? Where they at? They agree with it.